Okay, we're live. Hi everybody. This is Dan Berger. JavaScript enabled again. Slow week last week, but but we're back. Um, let's see. Mark is participating only by text because he has an illness that prevents him from speaking, I guess. And hopefully he's laying down. Um, Corey, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly? I feel like we know you. Hi. Corey also participating by text. Not sure why, but that's fine. Eating makes sense. Cool. Well, I'm Dan. I live in Oakland. I'm learning mostly Angular. Hey, Rachel's here. Hooray! Um, and yeah, so we're just starting introductions. Tommy, can you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Tommy. I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. I am a Salesforce consultant by day, trying to learn all the JavaScript things by night and weekends, and here to learn and help others learn as well.
Awesome. And oh wait, where'd everybody go? There we go. Cool. Rachel, how are you doing? Oh, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Okay. It's my first week on my new job. Hey.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Congratulations to start with.
Thanks. Yeah.
What are you working on?
Well, I'm starting in QA, so I'm going to be doing Ruby and Cucumber, and then like the company is very into like people learning and growing into roles and stuff, and so like my manager knew coming in, he's like, "Yep, we know you want to be a developer, and that's awesome. Just work hard."
Cool. Yeah, lots of
So,
people get their start in QA. No shame in QA at all.
no, I'm super excited. You're welcome.
That's very cool. So, but you're still here learning JavaScript?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, because I need to not that you ever finish learning a language, but I want to get actually fully confident in one. But they use a lot of JavaScript. They use Erlang, like Erlang JavaScript, Ruby, other stuff. But those are the main three, so I definitely still want to do that. And I tried to join the Ruby Monday group, and I'm like, I don't know what they're building. So I was like, I'll build something. Let me still hang on my JavaScript people.
Do
So
do you know you're working in Ruby, but do you know Rails?
no, I haven't jumped into that yet.
Oh, okay, interesting. Cool. So is it like the company a Rails shop? Like, do they have a Rails app running or?
No, they're an Erlang shop actually. And I don't know too much about trying to think what their full stack is. I mean, obviously I'm going to be using Ruby insofar as it like relates to writing Cucumber tests. And that's mainly what I know about their development platform right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Is that they in Cucumber, and that's what I got.
yeah. I've never played with Cucumber. It's mostly like feature tests, right? Like a lot of like natural language kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
played with it a
awesome.
little bit
It's always
too.
nice to hear people like getting jobs. I'm looking for a job right now myself, so hopefully the next few weeks I'll have like a fun announcement. Um,
Nice.
cool. So where do we start? Like, there was no meeting last week. I was here, but everyone else was busy, so that's cool. Um, and I feel like nobody really brought the fire with React. And I actually, so I'll just say like every Thursday after this group and Python Thursday meet, all the group leaders get together and we just sort of like compare notes. And what we've realized is like Ruby Monday, they're doing great on building stuff with frameworks, but this group and Python Thursday is trying to learn a framework called Django, and our group learning React and their group learning Django are both kind of having similar problems, which is that like we can't get. They have people, but they aren't getting the framework down fast enough, is what I understand. And then like we just kind of like can't get a sustained group of people to like all be like firing on all cylinders learning React. And I actually worried that like asking people to learn React is scaring people away. Like they don't want to come back because they haven't done their homework, sort of. And I don't think that's a good thing. So what we're going to transition this into is like there'll be language agnostic code problems, and we'll solve them in JavaScript, and Python will solve them in Python, and Ruby Monday will work on them in Ruby. And if you want to learn other languages, you can like solve them in both and go to both meetings or whatever, or solve them in Erlang, Rachel, if you want. So that's kind of where we're headed. And the first one was up on the Code Newbie feed earlier. Let me get a link to it.
I've got a link to the blog post that.
Oh, you do? Can you put it in the chat? That's faster than me looking for it.
Yeah, it's in there now.
Sorry, my total. There we go. Okay, thank you, Tommy. So the I think the way this will work is like they announce it, and then we'll work on it separately over the week, and then we can all get together and sort of discuss our answers. So has anyone? Do we want to just review the challenge? I mean, it's a lot of information. It's all about like poker hands and stuff. But basically, it's to design. If given a set of 5 cards, say what the highest value poker hand in that set of cards is. So I think it could be a lot of fun because there's a lot here, but it's not like so much to wrap your head around. Cool. So does anyone have questions about like that change at least?
No, I like it.
Okay, cool. And Tommy, like I know you were the one putting in the most work on the React stuff, so I hope you're not disappointed. But like I said, like if you want to keep working on it, or if other people still want to work on it, that's totally cool. And I'd love to like see progress and talk about it. But I know for me, like I've thought I would have time to learn it, but I'm so focused. I'm still just focused on Angular and like getting that, as Rachel says, like. You're never done learning, but you want to like be really confident in some things, and that's Angular for me right now. Actually, I can share the project I'm working on. I'm not done yet, but I'm pretty proud of it. I'm going to be done pretty soon, so I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'll keep plugging away on it, and hopefully I'll have some more to show on it as we go. I mean, I'm still been learning it on the side. I haven't really had a chance to really dig into the project anymore itself to really build anything on there, but I'm going through like that Udemy course. It's really good, actually. The one that was, and I can put a link in the Slack I'm sure it's already out there somewhere, but it's really solidified a lot of the concepts.
Cool. That was the course that Farish was talking about that people were getting for like $10 or something?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I'd say definitely worth it, for sure.
Awesome. That's good to know. Because I may end up, if I get a job in React, I'll have to learn it somewhere. Cool. All right. Well, I want to show off what I've been working on this week. Oh yeah, there's a link. Awesome. So this is, I'm going to post a public link, and hopefully you don't, I'll just post it in the chat here. This is and then I'll do a screen share too. Screen share. So I wanted to practice drag and drop, and so this is all written in Angular, and it's got a Ruby on Rails backend, and you can like grab a list and move it, and it'll it'll sort on the front end, and then it makes an AJAX request to the back end to make it permanent, basically. And then this is shared. So if you're all looking at the same Heroku site and you refresh, you should see them moving around, right? Because it's all just one set of data. And then the next step is that the cards are draggable, but nothing happens when you, like, I haven't coded it yet so that the cards move around, but basically I want to be able to move the cards up and down the lists and across lists and have it all be synced with the back end. So that's what I've been playing with this week, and it's been kind of a headache, but also like definitely learning a ton of cool stuff. So like drag and drop is crazy. Like even if you have a plugin that makes it relatively easy, which I do, it's still like kind of a brain teaser because like those lists move and the cards move, but there are certain places you only want to be able to drop lists and certain places you only want to be able to drop cards. So it's like you have to, like I have to write screens for all that stuff, and it's been a challenge. But yeah, that's what I've been working on, and I'm pretty psyched about it.
Is that in Angular? Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just going to ask, so you wrote that in Angular?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So when you say that you have to write like screens, like are you using like X and Y coordinates for where they're allowed to go, or is it more, well, I guess obviously that wouldn't be responsive, but how are you limiting it? Like what concept is used?
So the way Angular works is you sort of name, you can give it an array and say repeat this list in this array of lists, basically. And so when it has that array, it's pretty easy to refer to the index. So to find like what's the index of a given list. And the way the plugin works is when you drag it, it just sort of like gives the new index, like where is it going to go after you release, basically. And then I guess I could share some code. Let me find GitHub. So this is the repo, and then so like what's a good way? I'll just show you the no, not there. Public templates lists. So this is the can you see this all right? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So this is like the page, and for instance, you've got this repeat list in lists. So lists is a variable defined in the back that's an array of my list objects. And then I sort of define this area as somewhere that you can drop things. And then when you drop something in this area, it fires this callback. But then the cards are down here, and you repeat card in list.card. So each list has cards on it, which is itself an array. And when you drop in that field, there's a different callback, and sorting out like those callbacks was a headache. So if I go, this is what a Rails app looks like, by the way. It is a mess. Angular. Like on list drop complete, that was the callback that that I was just showing. So I have to like check to make sure that it's a list, because it might, I had this bug where if you drop a card where a list should go, it would try to replace the list with the card, and it looks like awful. It would have been corrected after the AJAX call ran, but was really ugly to start with. So then like if it is, then it rearranges the list by like shuffling all the things in the series around, and then this is an API call to my backend to like send stuff. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's very interesting and sounds complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me a while to think through it all.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think the cards is going to go pretty quickly, though. Like, I'm going to work on it tomorrow morning, and be like having solved the problem once, it'll go faster. And then I've got a bunch of tests on the Ruby side in RSpec to make sure that like the cards all move where I want them to go, basically.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. What's everyone else up to?
Well, actually nothing JavaScript related, which is why I need to come back. I finally built my own website, which was awesome and took way too long. And then I was playing around actually with Flask, which is sort of like Django's little brother. Or so that was fun, and it actually, like it was my first foray into frameworks really at all, and so the way frameworks work is very similar across frameworks, which I learned because I was playing around and I did something in Flask. I forget what it was by now, but I was just, playing around with creating a Flask app, and then I made my website. I actually hosted on GitHub, and so I used Jekyll for it. And the way Jekyll works and the way that a Flask app is built is very similar in that, you have your formulas, basically your formula pages, and then on your main pages you call in stuff, and you call in the pieces that you need to put together a full page. So anyway, that was new to me, so that was really interesting to learn, and it was cool to see the overlap and start to see how when people say, like, oh, once you learn one language, the others are easier. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense because they do operate the same way. It's just, yeah, it is just different syntax and different ways of saying things. So that was pretty cool. But
that's awesome. Yeah.
I also decided I don't want to do front-end development because CSS was so annoying.
That's
just center and stay there. And don't move. Why is this so hard? So.
Yeah, we've all been there. That's the thing. I love Angular. I love JavaScript, but yeah, like CSS, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think I was joking on Twitter. I was like, is a full stack dev with no graphic design sense is like a thing, right? Like you can be a front end engineer and not do design work, right? Or like not even bother with CSS. But honestly, you probably can't. Corey says I do front end work. Presumably, you have to do CSS as well.
Yeah, I would assume.
And by the time I get my personal website up, you're all going to look at it and say, that took you so long? Because it's just going to be like black and white and a few things because I gave up on doing anything complicated.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, the things that you have. I mean, I guess it's the same with any type of program, really. Like, you have to, specify things down to the smallest details. But even things like, oh, I don't want my text to be on the extreme edge of the screen, so I need to make it, put a little margin there, and then, oh, it looks weird because now it's off kilter, and I need to make sure the margins all match, and oh, the bullet points go past the title, so that doesn't look right either, and oh my gosh.
Have you learned Bootstrap?
I used Bootstrap, which that was a whole other nightmare, is trying to like mesh Bootstrap and Jekyll together, but yeah, Bootstrap.
I like it just because it makes it, once you learn it, it's like, okay, this is all I really need to know to make like prototypes. Other people can handle like actual design if it ever comes to that.
Right. Yeah. This will center my images. Oh. Yeah, it was nice. Although it was interesting because I first was trying to actually integrate Bootstrap with a Jekyll framework that I was using, and I just couldn't get it to work. And then I found the Jekyll framework that I wanted to use, or the Jekyll theme that I wanted to use, that someone else had already integrated Bootstrap for me. So I just used theirs, which was way easier. But in trying to integrate Bootstrap on my own to Jekyll, I realized how huge Bootstrap is. Like, that library is absolutely massive, and there are so many things in there. And then one of my friends who actually does front-end, he was kind of complaining, half-jokingly, like, Bootstrap is the new Splenda of the internet because everyone uses it, and it's the de facto thing, but there's so much in there you just don't use. Like, you use what? I mean, we use the Jumbotron and maybe a few of the class names for, like, the, you know, the rows and the columns and stuff, and then the rest of it, most of it goes to waste, but everyone's browsers still have to load it and everything. So another thing I've been learning is, like, speed, making things run efficiently. So that's been interesting. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now so other people can talk.
Oh, no worries. No, we hadn't heard from you in a while, so it's nice to catch up. Tommy, well, I will say, like, Mark, who is still silent, wrote in the chat room that he's been doing the Udemy course also, learning Webpack and Browserify. I don't know what those are. Looking at Polymer, reading design patterns, elements of reusable object-oriented software. Cool. Sounds like your plate is full, Mark.
Yeah. I'm also reading a book. I don't think it's that one specifically, but like a design pattern book, and how, actually it might be, because how you can reuse certain design patterns in, like, throughout all the different, you know, several different programming languages. So it's really interesting. We should have a book club.
We should have a book club. I know. I have tons of books to read, and I don't get to most of them.
Right. Or you
hello,
get
Jen.
for like
My
a
name's
month.
Dan. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? If you don't, that's cool too. Yes, you. Oh, no worries. No, I can't hear you.
Looks like you're muted. You've got the little muted symbol.
Yeah, but it would disappear and we don't hear anything. It's cool. If your mic's not working. Oh. Yeah, there you are.
Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I actually just saw you guys on Twitter, and I'm trying to learn, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, join Slack and all of these things. So basically, I work in IT. I don't know how much stuff to say, but basically I'm really interested in learning, and I'm kind of doing the front-end development of just HTML, CSS. I took a class on Angular, and I'm trying to put it all together, but like it seems like right now I'm biting too much into the apple, and it's like it's so much. So I'm trying to take it one step at a time, and it's nice to join a community and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to say hello, and I apologize for if I'm rambling here.
No, no worries. Welcome. It's always nice to see someone new. I'm an Angular guy too, so Angular is awesome. Cool. Oh yeah, the John Duckett book. Rachel says it is really excellent and gorgeous. You could like leave it on your coffee table. It's like a great book. Cool. So Tommy, I think you were gonna mention stuff you've been working on, or maybe you just had a question for Rachel at some point.
Oh no, well, I mean, as far as what I'm working on right now, speaking of biting into apples, I've actually been going through and doing some Coursera courses because they released some new ones around some specializations for programming. So you have to pay to join and get the specialization to actually get the certificate, but you can just do them for free. So, and I can post those links later too. But I basically joined 3 of them more or less. There's one that's basically around web design, one that's around quote unquote full stack development and centered around JavaScript, and then another one that's actually centered around game development in Unity 3D. 2 of them have started. So the first of the the full stack is just pretty basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I just thought, well, it'll be a good review anyway. So I just finished that one up. But it has some courses centered around Angular is one, goes into deeper advanced JavaScript stuff, and I think more HTML, CSS. So that's been interesting. And then actually Unity 3D is pretty cool. I've always kind of wanted to get into a little bit of game development just to try it out. And it's way out of my ballpark as far as you talk about design. I mean, that's like full on 3D modeling and craziness, but it's really cool. It's pretty interesting, just the basic stuff that you can do with it. And I haven't actually started this week's portion of it, but they actually go into building a game. They pretty much give you everything to do it, but they walk you through all the steps to actually make things move on the screen when you click something, or when you use your keyboard and make audio and visual stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna actually probably tonight at least take a stab at the Code Newbie Challenge here for the poker ante up. See what I can do there. I'd like to make it not just whatever, like a command line type of thing, but throw in some DOM elements too, maybe make a little JS fiddle or a code pen that does something with it. So let's see what I can do with that.
We can do like a front end where you at least type in the cards, or like select cards from a deck or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Unity. When I was teaching the summer course I was TAing, we did a day where all the students had to go learn something. They had like 24 hours to learn something and then like teach it to the rest of the group. And one of the students did Unity, and he made a really cool. He did one of the tutorials. It's like a little game where this guy like walks. He's like a little person dressed in like a nightgown, and he walks around with a shotgun and like shoots like toys that are like it's a nightmare dream or something. It was pretty cool. And yeah, it looks like they give you like all the pieces, and then you just have to sort of put them together. But then you can learn to create your own stuff, right? And then I guess the idea is you can create like characters that move and settings and things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can build full-blown games and put them out on, like, I know a lot of iOS games and Android games are made using Unity. You can also make web games as well, although apparently Google Chrome no longer supports the Unity 3D plugin, so I don't know what that is eventually going to mean for that. So I was kind of sad when I heard that, because that's the main browser that I use. But yeah, it looks really cool. And you can get as crazy with it as you want. I mean, you can put your own 3D stuff in. They also have a store that you can basically just grab other people's stuff from and plug it into your game or your scene, whatever you're trying to do, interactive media with. So I'm interested to get a little bit deeper in that. I've also been doing that Udemy course with React, and it's been, like I said before, it's been super helpful. And I'm about I'm almost halfway through it, and they're getting to the part where they're starting to integrate a back end with Firebase with it.
Oh,
so,
cool.
That's going to be the first time I've seen React beyond just here's some front end components. And then they also get into React's sort of data helper Flux, which is another thing I've been wanting to look at too. So it kind of runs the full gamut with stuff, and it also goes into things like Mark was saying, Browserify, Gulp, which is the first time I'd really used any build like automation tool, and that was pretty crazy, like just trying to wrap my head around that. But it looks like once you get the hang of it, you can do some pretty slick stuff with it.
Very cool. Are there any like tutorials or things you've made from the course that you might want to show off, or just like tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, well, I mean, the stuff that they've made right now is just super, super basic.
Okay.
Well, one of them was the thing that Mark showed, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, where it had a React logo and a Gulp logo, where it had a badge. It was sort of here's what a component looks like. The last one I just went through, it was really basic, talking about state. So it was all it is just a drop-down box, and it's about, okay, well, when you select something, it switches what the text inside of the drop-down box and highlights it. I mean, I can show that really quickly. It'll take 4 seconds.
Cool.
Yeah, it's about literally as basic as you can possibly get. Let me see if I can share it super quick here. It's going to be like deja vu for you, Mark, because I'm sure you're already way past this part here. So can everybody see it? I may have to zoom in. If
Yeah,
it's
I see the web page.
let's see. There we go. So you've got this drop down. It says choose a dessert, and this is all made using a React component. So when you click on it, another component will pop up saying, well, do you want apple pie, peach cobbler, coconut cream? So if you click on one, then it switches the state of that component so that the title of the drop down is now apple pie. And it also holds the state inside of the other component saying, well, at the top of the component saying, make sure to highlight whatever the title is in here. And then if you click on other stuff, it switches it. So it's just a really simple way to demonstrate how state works inside of React and what you can do with it. I mean, you could do a lot crazier stuff with it, but this was just the basic tutorial demo that they gave.
Oh, cool. All right. Sorry, my leg fell asleep. Awesome. Yeah, I love when we get to see what people are actually working on. So Mark said he stopped right after that one and needs to go deeper to understanding state and mount. Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but React doesn't have two-way data binding, right? Like they do.
Right.
Okay.
It basically, like more or less, you end up putting state on one of your top-level components, and then it sort of filters its way down. And that's part of what Flux. I haven't gotten any really experience with Flux yet, but that's supposed to help with your data binding, moving it down the component structure so that it reaches everywhere it needs to go. That's about as much as I know about the unidirectional data binding with
okay, interesting. So Flux is supposed to be like a tool to work
to help it out with, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Does anyone else have like projects they want to share? Like Mark, you can send me a link if you've got anything if you want to show off. Hopefully you're like in bed. Corey, are you still eating? You want to tell us what's going on in your world?
I specialize in personalization and A/B tests, and with the holidays coming up, a lot of people want to talk to me.
Yeah, I bet. For your retailer in Maine, who could it be? Yeah, that's cool.
Boots are on back order, if that gives you any sort of indication.
What's on back order?
Boots are on back order.
On back order eternally. Cool. Well, I don't need any boots here in California, although they've told me that El Nino is coming, but he's not here yet because it was like 70 degrees.
Mudslides already starting.
Yeah, right. Oh, cool, Rachel. Yeah, when you get your app up, let's check it out. Jay would like to ask a question. Go ahead. It's okay.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt kind of like the flow, and I know you guys are showing projects, but now that you're all here and you're all super experienced in your own ways, so for me, since I'm just getting started and all that, is there anything that you guys used that was really like helped you get along or get started? I know Rachel said that the JavaScript book by John Duckett was really good. So I was just wondering if do you guys have any other tips or maybe websites or courses? I've been doing Code Academy and Free Code School, Free Code Camp actually. So it's kind of like I'm plowing through it, but it's going very slow because I'm doing my 9 to 5 also. I work in IT, but not necessarily coding, but that's where I want my career to go. So I just wanted to get your opinions. But I'm sorry if I'm like kind of, changing the subject of the stream and all that.
No, no worries. I mean, it's a pretty open-ended kind of discussion when we're not working on our thing. So Mark just posted a link in the chat window for you, a Udemy course, Understanding JavaScript. Yeah, Mark's probably the best one for this because he's, I think, the one like closest to the front and still like charging through all this stuff. Maybe. Let's see. I mean, I mostly learned JavaScript at a web development school, so I don't know. I wasn't like patching stuff together from resources. Like someone had done that work for me already. So I don't know that I personally have like the best answer for you there. But yeah, I know Rachel and Mark have both done Free Code Camp, right? So that's one that a lot of people like. I don't know. I feel like there aren't bad, and Tommy too. Cool. There aren't like wrong answers, except eloquent JavaScript. Don't do that. You won't make it past chapter 5. No one does. So not eloquent JavaScript, but literally anything else. You could, as long as you're making forward progress, I think that's what counts. Corey says, learned to code C++ and BASIC from books back in the days of 33.6 kilobyte modem connections. Uphill, both ways, in the driving snow. Yeah. Cool. Does that help? I mean, is that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to know that like kind of what I'm chugging at people have done, or for me, I like to know that whatever I'm working on is eventually gonna help me or pay off because people have already done it. So to get little tips and tricks along the way kind of also helps. So I just wanted to just ask people what they thought or what they think what helped them or what's good for them. Yeah. I think my biggest problem is I just don't have enough time every day to put into it. So it's a slow progress.
It always feels like there's never enough time. Yeah, Tommy, what were we gonna say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know one thing, I haven't used it in a while, but I want to go back to it, is I think what was it, Code Wars, where it's basically, and you can do it for more than just JavaScript, but it's a site that they have challenges up there, kind of similar to the Code Newbie one for poker, but they start off really basic, and then you can incrementally get more challenging and challenging challenges, I guess, for lack of a better word, and it really helps sort of ingrain the concepts that you're learning, especially if you're going through something like Free Code Camp or reading a book about JavaScript. And there's a bunch of different other types of sites that do that too. So if you just search for JavaScript challenges or JavaScript cones is another one, you'll find a lot of resources like that, and it just helps to be able to build something else outside of what you're just learning in the tutorials that you're going through. At least that, for me, that helped a lot.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I learn by doing, so I think that's great that there's websites where you can kind of test yourself and apply what you learn. That's one thing that I've heard of. It's like you want to use what you learn to solve problems, not necessarily just kind of copy and paste. So to be given a challenge and then kind of use your own knowledge to fix the problem is something that where I want to get into or have the mentality of.
Yeah, well, and the thing I really like about Code Wars as well is that basically for the challenges, you just have to code something that eventually gets you to the right answer. So, I mean, technically you could do like a really brute force approach and get an answer, and you have to pass all the tests that they have in the background, and then once you do, then you get points for solving that challenge. And then after you solve the challenge, it'll actually unlock all of other people's solutions, and they're either upvoted or downvoted depending on how good people think that answer was or how clever it was. So it's really cool because you can solve it your own way and then see how everybody else solved it. And that's part of how I've learned some other more clever ways to solve problems, is because they'll come up with something that I've never seen before. I'll look into it, and then I start using that on every other challenge that I do. So it's super helpful that way too, because you see more than just your own way to solve the problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one thing I've noticed a lot is I'll go through a challenge and I see 4 different ways of doing it, and then I'm like, oh, this is where the fun parts like get into where you can do it your own way, and you see when you see some really cool code that does the problem in like 1 or 2 lines, and you're like doing 10 lines, you're like, wow, that's like so smart to do it this way, and it's always nice to see code like that.
Yeah, cool. Mark posted a link in the chat too that it's like a massive list of GitHub or JavaScript resources on GitHub. So plot through that. I'm always overwhelmed by those. Like I feel like there's always just like more on them than I could ever possibly look at. So where did? Sorry, my screen froze up again. Oh yeah, the cones. I wanted to clarify the spelling. I was like, I think it's like not CONES, but KOANS. Cool. Yeah, I've done a few of the Ruby cones, but not a ton of them.
Yeah, I would say whatever you decide to do, just pick 2 or 3 things and do those. Because like you were saying, sorry, what was your name again? Not Tommy. Who are these?
There's a
It is
Tommy.
Tommy. Oh no, Jay. Jay's the one who asked the question, right?
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So like you were saying, Jay, you never have enough time, and then like you were saying, Dan, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because you're like, there are 30 of the best to use JavaScript resources. And so I know for me, like, and I talk about this all the time on Twitter now because I feel like it's like the magical combo. Like when I found the Code Newbie community, and then I very shortly before or after or around the same time, I found Free Code Camp. I think it was very shortly before. And the combination of all of that, because basically like I had my online tutorials that I had dabbled in, right? But then Code Newbie let me do like pseudo real world project work where you have to actually talk to other people and try to fix things, which is just a huge step above tutorials. Like tutorials are good, but like some of these guys were saying, like do something like Code Wars or something where it's like you have to actually try to solve the problem and not you have to try to find the problem that the tutorial was pre-programmed to recognize. Because there are lots of different ways to solve stuff. But anyway, so I would say like the community of Code Newbie, and then plus the structure of Free Code Camp, and then you throw in John Duckett's book, and that was like the magical combination for me of like, this makes sense, because I even remember, like the one time there was a problem we were working on in the Code Newbie project, and I was up against a wall, and then like the next chapter that I read in John Duckett's book specifically addressed pieces of the code that I needed to write, and so like if you can pick 2 or 3 good tools or communities and just do those in tandem, I would say that is more important than doing everything. Or even feeling like you have to spend 3 hours a day on something. You don't. Just make sure you're keeping up, so to speak. That's
Thank
my
you very much. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
That's great to hear that the Hangman project was like really helpful for you. So Rachel, is your app up? Do you wanna show us what you have there?
It's getting there. Sorry, I have to like start a virtual environment in order for it to run, and that's what was taking so long. But I think if let me try running it now and see if it works. Dang it. No, it might be another minute. Or I might not get it to work because it's been a while and I sort of forget how to start it.
That's cool. So I'm looking at this Jekyll. It's Jekyll transform your plain text into static web pages and blogs. Is that the Jekyll you're using?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it's like Markdown. How it works.
Mind if I ask another question here?
No, go ahead.
What do you guys do, or where do you guys want your careers to go? I'm starting out kind of like in IT, but I'd like to become a coder. What about you guys? What's your motivation for all this?
Oh, sure. So, well, I was in financial services for a long time, and um, really like was in like the like client services and marketing and like not very technical stuff at all, and just like discovered coding and was like, oh, this like lights up my brain in exactly the ways that make me happy, you know. So that's when I decided I need to do it for work, and I did a web dev school first half of this year, and then I taught at the teaching assistant for the summer cohort, and now I'm like out on the job trail. So what do I do all day? I build projects and look for work. That's what I do. But where do I want my career to go? I don't know. I'm in the Bay Area, so like hoping to get sort of swept up into the startup community out here and just like build exciting things and see what happens. Like that's my plan. Anyone else want to talk about like where they're coming from and what motivates them?
Sure. So right now, well, for the past four years, I've been in software consulting. So I'm sort of tangentially around programming, and I've always sort of dabbled in it ever since I was younger, but I've never had a job necessarily where I'm doing programming sort of full time, and that's where I want to get to, because I like the building part a little bit more than I like the consulting side. Although I kind of like both. Ideally it would be sort of a mix of working with the customer to figure out what they want and then help build that. But I've been more on the side of figuring out what the customer wants and doing the sort of more business analyst side rather than being the person who builds it. So that's sort of what I want to transition towards a little bit more, because I like just like Dan said, building cool things and seeing where they go.
Cool.
Yeah. And for me, yeah, I like building things. I've always been sorry, now I'm multitasking because I'm testing my app and I think it's working. But I like building things, and I did stuff in middle school, and then I didn't in high school, and then fast forward to now, and I realized that I just started dabbling around in programming, and I realized, oh my gosh, I can actually I don't have to learn how to be a construction worker. Like I can build things in other ways that aren't just hammer and nails. So that was kind of the main draw for me, is this aspect of being able to build things and being able to create. And then even just this thing, like, my parents come to me and are like, so I have this idea for an app. And it's cool that I'm learning skills that will allow me to turn ideas into reality. And I really like that aspect of it too. So, I mean, long term, I just want to be able to build stuff. That's my long-term plan right now.
Very cool. And Mark's sick, but I know his plan is to he's in the Navy right now, I think, and his plan is to next week. Okay, when he gets out of the Navy, he wants to be working developer. So that's Mark's bio, and I know because he comes every week. Jay, was that like helpful? I mean, does that strike any chords with you?
Oh, definitely. What's funny for me is sometimes I get motivation from seeing how other people work and they go after their dreams. So it's nice to hear other people that are coming from different backgrounds all trying to do something that we all have in common, which is kind of learn and build. So for me, it's always nice to know the people who are around me. It's that kind of community part of it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for sharing, guys. Kind of random question, I know, but it's for me, it's always nice to know where people are coming from and what do they want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I have my app up now. Do people want to see it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, so let me do a screen share. So this was cool for me to learn. Okay, are we up? So this is the actual code behind it, which it's a very simple app, so this is very simple code. But all of this was very new to me in terms of, like, you have to import the pieces that you need, which, fun fact, I just realized, or I just learned Monday, that this is how, what's the Mozilla language? Rust. This is actually how Rust works in terms of, like, the Rust library. By default, when you use Rust, it only uses what they call the prelude by default, and that's a whole nother tangent. But look into Rust. I'll come back to that. Anyway, so frameworks. Anyway, so these are the aspects that you are importing, and then if you're new to frameworks, like, this was all really interesting for me to learn because this is the actual, technically, the index page, but there's no, this does not look like your typical website index page, right? There's, like, not even any text here. There's just a whole bunch of handles, or I'm not even sure what the technical name for these are called, but they're pulling from all of these. Mostly it's the templates, actually. So the templates are where your actual HTML is held. Oh, sorry, I was starting to echo.
We had someone new join. Jesus, do you mind if I mute you? Sorry, welcome. I have to mute you because you got an echo.
Wait a second. So this is where the actual HTML is, but even in these you can see there's, like, there are placeholders for information that people are going to be inputting based on these requests. So everything is very interlinked, and I thought that was really cool to learn because the things that you're using are from just built within the framework. So, and then with Flask, it's good to run everything within a virtual environment just so you don't have to install everything on your home computer because it's a lot of stuff. So I have set up the virtual environment, which you can see here is running, and then I'm just going to call Python on my little app here. And then once that starts up and running, then I'll be able to access it locally. But it won't work, and this is interesting too. Again, it might be new for some of you. Like, if I were just to open up one of those HTML documents, it wouldn't work correctly because there are too many dependencies that are, as you can see, like importing things from Flask. So Flask actually has to be loaded up on this virtual environment for it to work. So now it's up and running. So we can go here, and this is very, very basic. So basically all it does is, like, you know, we can just click sign up, and I haven't even gone in and put in a pop-up, you know, where it's like, oh, your sign up is successful. Like, I haven't done anything. And I don't know, you can just add a few names. I don't know. I'm picking words out. And then if you click on See the Team, the Flask app actually stores everything. So now everyone who has signed up, we get to store them in the thing. And even if you, like, if we go back, even if we refresh the page and it's like a new thing, it's still all storing it, you know, in the app. So it's all still there. And then I just had a other link just for the fun of it. Like, I was just playing around with stuff. So that's it. That's all it does. And I wanted to do more, but it's kind of like, you know, we were saying you run out of time, right? And then you start a new project, and I totally actually forgot about that one until tonight. Like, there was still more that I wanted to do with it just for fun. But that's the basics of it. It was cool to learn how it all worked.
Yeah, cool. It looks. I've heard this about Python, right? It looks a lot like Ruby, like that. Like the there's a framework in Ruby called Sinatra that's sort of like the junior. It's not as complicated as Rails. It's not as heavyweight as Rails, and like that looks a lot like Sinatra app, like with the different routes defined and that sort of thing.
That's cool. So it's like Sinatra and Flask, and then like Django and Rails, maybe.
Yeah, kind of. I think people have made that analogy before.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. That's very good. Welcome, Jesus. Sorry, I had to mute you. We were getting like some feedback. But if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself, that's cool.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Jesus. I'm from Venezuela, and I'm starting to learn Python because I really like it. Uh, it's been fun the time we having learning, and I really see my future learning coding. I'm starting with Python and a little bit of HTML and a bit of JavaScript. But right now with Python, and I see that the code newbie is having today JavaScript, so I'm going to hear tonight.
Cool. Yeah. So there, I don't know if I didn't quite catch all that. Your connection. I think it's your connection. That is funny. Like Python Thursday is happening at the same time, but Rachel is showing Python code in the JavaScript in the JavaScript group. It's cool. It's all love
Yeah,
here. Cool. So yeah,
yeah, it's
welcome.
fine, it's fine. Thank you.
Um, awesome. So we've just been like sharing projects and like chatting about stuff. Oh, Mark left. Bye, Mark. Um, cool. So, is there anything you've built recently that you want to like show off? It's, we're we've been doing it. We've been here for an hour now. So,
Oh well, no really. I just learning. The last time I'm in the really basic step. The last time I made it was like a calendar to save the birthday of your friends on Python.
hmm.
So it's kind of basic, but I'm catching up.
Okay. Cool. Well, do you want to show us or not?
No, not really. It's like uh, give me a bit of time. I still have to manage the when you type a new birthday, it says that it got saved, but it really don't save on the file. It just says like, okay, the new friend like Mark birthday is been saved, but it doesn't get saved on the file, so I still have to look for that.
Okay. Um, cool. That does that does sound like a really troublesome bug. Um, yeah. Does anyone else have like anything they want to talk about or share? I mean, we can. Oh, people chatting. The Slack channel is lighting up. I have to move away from it. Yeah, the frameworks decision I think is going to be a popular one. Cool. Does anyone want to? Well, I'm going to make sure that I share that link to the anti-up again on the Slack channel for the whole group. Yeah, Jay's got a question. What's up, Jay?
So super basic, and I actually just heard about code newbie today.
Oh,
So I'm just wondering what the actual website is, how you guys do challenges. I heard Rachel talking about challenges, so I was just wondering like how does this website work and the community works?
sure. Okay. Well, okay. So overview of Code Newbie. Are you on Twitter at all?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Okay. So it started as like a Twitter chat that Saran Yabarak led, and she's grown it into an empire. And now it's codenewbie.org is the website, and then there's also a podcast that she does that is pretty cool. And so I'll put a link to the website in the chat.
Yeah, I pulled up the website and like right away I went to Slack because that's where like the hangout was happening. So, but other than that, I have no idea. I see podcasts and all that, but that's about it.
Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, there are like blog posts. Um, And then that anti-up link is that I just posted in the meetup in the chat window is the problem we can work on for next week. And like I don't know where you're at. Like maybe that is too much, but I'd love to just see you play with it, and just see what you can come up with, even if it's just like um, playing with the variables and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. I think I just pulled it up. It looks really cool. Like you're supposed to have different hands and all that. So I'll take a look at it. Even if I don't do it right, I can still learn.
yeah.
You guys are all doing this in JavaScript or like what are the boundaries here?
So this challenge is language agnostic. So like the Python group is also going to work on it, and I think the Ruby group, although they have another project going on. So if you want, like, we're going to solve it in JavaScript, and we'll talk about that here. But if you want to, if you're working on something else and you want to solve it there, you can try that. Rachel commented in the Slack that she might try solving it in multiple languages because she wants to practice all of them. Yeah, not a lot of rules. Just like and again, it's not homework. Like you don't have to do. You never have to do anything to show up here and chat. But I think next week we'll compare answers and just sort of like walk through each other's code and like talk about it, talk about the solutions.
Oh, that's really cool. Have Rachel to show off, I guess.
What's that? No, she's a polymath. She knows lots of things.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing. I was like, I'm having hard enough trouble understanding JavaScript, and she's doing it in like 4 different languages.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I've been casually learning how to code for 2 years, so I'm actually behind. So you're fine.
I don't know who's behind. I'm actually about it on the same timetable. It was like 2 years ago that I left banking to do the coding stuff full time. So
Awesome.
yeah, cool. Any other questions? Things people want to talk about? I don't want to just like end it abruptly, but I'll hang out as long as everyone wants to. But I'm out of things to talk about.
Yeah. I'm getting up early tomorrow, so I don't mind. I'll probably sign off soon anyway.
Cool. Are you you're at like the new job? You're like doing it now, or is it starting soon?
Yeah, it's my first week. This week though I've started with manual testing because I guess they really want me to appreciate technology. But B, it's good because I'm learning actually what we build and how our systems work so that when I start testing it, it's just going to have the big picture scope of stuff. So yeah, first week, next week I'll start coding things. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one thing, like when I was learning and doing the TA stuff, it's like you do it the hard way first so that when you learn the cool tool, you really like appreciate how much power it has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, congratulations again. It's really awesome.
Yeah, congrats.
And they gave me 3 different cups. I have a travel mug, a coffee mug, and like one of those plastic things with a straw for cold drinks. Never get thirsty. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any like cool perks at your new job?
Well, our VP is gonna buy us pizza and beer tomorrow because apparently we're doing this thing where we all have to work on a specific, I don't really know what it is, but it's like this specific project that every Friday they work on it, and tomorrow's a special Friday, so we get pizza and beer. See?
Nice.
Cool. The beer might be a surprise, so hopefully no one's watching this.
I want to go work at a cool tech company like that. You get free stuff, beer walls, and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, coding is fun and all, but like having a beer on the side would be pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't go crazy. I feel like people.
It's not every Friday. This is a one-time thing. I will say though, that's what one thing that I learned from this job too is that usually people say, oh, yeah, I want to work for a cool tech company, and usually I know for me in my head I was thinking, oh, a company that's building something really awesome like freaking SpaceX or something like that. Mm-hmm. But really, I mean, our product is not glamorous. It's neat. It's not glamorous at all. This is a 20-year-old company, right? But the people who work there are all intelligent and they're fun to work with, and so the culture is really awesome. And I realized, oh yeah, you don't have to have this super cool sounding product. It just has to be one that works and that you can build, and then the rest of it is your team and who you're actually working with. So many soapboxes tonight.
Yeah. No, that's a great attitude. I mean, I hope I end up in a situation like that too, because it's like the perks could get pretty crazy out here, like the free food, and I know at least one startup has, so there are marijuana is basically legal here in the Bay Area, right? And so there are startups that are just marijuana based, and then a friend of mine who works at a non-marijuana based startup, as one of their perks, they brought in one of the pot dealers basically to like get them all signed up for medical marijuana cards as like job perk, and I was like, oh great, that's insane. Like that's like just totally stupid and like not a place I really want to work. Like I know I live in California, but I like don't really smoke that much weed, so yeah. But that's what things are like out here.
Yeah, so pizza and beer is like, duh, that's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What else you got?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's still pretty good.
Huh?
It's still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Especially because I have to be gluten-free, and so they're getting some gluten-free pizza just for me. I feel
that's
special.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Cool people.
That's awesome. It looks like you're really happy. I hope it, fulfills all your wishes and dreams and all that.
Okay. I'm excited. I hope you can do the same thing. What type of IT are you in right now? Like networking or?
So here, the funny thing is, like, I was Cisco certified. I am like, I know a bunch of technology on the networking side, and then I'm doing technical support for like a really big company. I do server stuff. I know a lot of Linux, and all these different things. So I'm kind of like coming full round where I went from implementation to tech support to now wanting to develop. So I'm doing like the whole circle. So yeah, it'll be interesting, and hopefully, I'm at a big company right now. I don't know if I should mention it. I don't know if that's proper etiquette.
Don't feel pressured.
You should.
It's being broadcast technically, so.
Yeah. So but I'm not at the position I want to be. So hopefully, getting the right skills, give it some time. I want to give myself a year, to try and really buckle down and do some hard work, and then hopefully after that I can see where I want to go.
Yeah, I would say definitely talk to your manager or whoever upper about it. I mean, I don't know what type of environment it is, but if it's a good environment, then they should be all about even helping you along. Like maybe they'll pay for you to take a class, or maybe they'll let you like at a certain point in your learning. Who knows? Maybe they'll let you sit with a developer once a month or something, just like observe. Like if they want to, especially if they want to keep you and you've been there a couple years or however long,
Yeah.
definitely at least bring it up and say, hey, this is my long-term career goal. I'm obviously like I don't want to leave this company, but as I learn this skill over the next couple of years, is there room for me to grow into that here? Because that would be awesome if you could
Yeah.
use.
So all right, I'll be completely honest. You guys heard about the mega merger, right? Dell and EMC.
I vaguely read about this.
All right, it's
Don't
supposed to
say
be like.
anything confidential because this is live on the internet.
Yeah, no, it's completely on the news. So it's basically two giant companies merging, right? So these two giant companies have developers and all these different things. So I do have the ability to move on to different departments. It's kind of just I want to get the right skills before I speak up and say, hey, I want to make a move.
Gotcha.
Because what's the point of saying I want to move and then I can't even I don't have any skills,
Yeah, it's your decision. Do what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah. Thanks. I really appreciate the feedback, though. So one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be really interesting. Like especially, I don't know what part of the country you're in, but like develop out here, there's a real shortage of developers. So like someone in that situation where if you said like, hey, this is something I want to do, that's good for them because then they don't have to like go pay a recruiter to find someone if they can like train you to be the developer that they need.
Yeah.
They can say like, hey, we're hiring. It's Python, learn Python or whatever it is, or C++, and just learn that, and then you can work here. That's always
I hear that the recruiters out west are like super like pushy and they'll try to recruit anybody, like headhunters. There's some wild stories out there.
Yeah. Well, what's sad is like if you don't have any experience, they want absolutely nothing to do with you. And then the minute, which is like right now would be actually the perfect time to really have someone helping me out. Um, but um, but then like as soon as you don't need them anymore, that's when they start bothering you. Corey says he's on the East Coast and they call him there. Yes, no one is safe. Um, cool. Anything else people wanna talk about? I feel like we're winding down a little. All right, cool. Well, it's been another good one. I'm really excited about the new challenges, so I'm gonna work on that over the weekend, and hopefully we'll have something cool to chat about next week. So I'll post the link in the Slack channel to everybody, including people who weren't here, with like a little note about what it is, and then yeah, reach out during the week. I'm not on Slack as much anymore, but I'm trying to like drop in because I used to have it for work, and now I don't have to do that anymore, so I'm not on it as much. But feel free to direct message me at any point during the week if anyone like has questions about the new direction. Cool. All right, then I'm gonna stop the broadcast right now.